second day, and it's getting late, but it's still light outside. Okay, here we go. I'm going to have several questions here, and someone mad at me, and I'm going to point out divide and concur factors. A good friend of mine got bagged for a branding error and now is not able to use his monetized channel. Any ideas on how to fix that? Any help would be so helpful. Okay, on YouTube, I'm assuming, obviously. I don't have any way of helping you. I cannot figure out YouTube's bullshit anymore. Years ago, they were able to not necessarily listen to us, but they could compensate when people would abuse the system and go after those who abuse the system. If that happened to be me, then they go after me. Then they stop being fair, balanced, or even chemically balanced, so I don't have any solutions. And the fact is that they don't listen to you when you do any kind of review request. In the past, I got them to listen at one point, and I can't really confirm it, they literally went out of their way to use my channel as a way to test their algorithm to punish people for faking complaints and gang attacking channels, which was a real big problem, still is. Now they seem more friendly to abusing their system than literally anything else, and they don't seem to give a shit anymore. So I don't have any solutions for you at all. I know this sounds really lame, and I feel lame for it, and I hate saying I don't know and I can't fix it. That's not my nature. Normally I find a freaking way to fix it. But I'm currently sitting on several channels with fake complaints, false flaggings, and I've had a channel taken from me for insulting Adolf Hitler. So I literally cannot even on YouTube. I'm sorry. And I've given up, if anybody's curious, on Facebook totally, just because it's broken. And I've given up on PayPal, eBay. I haven't given up on Amazon. I managed to get around it once in a while, but I don't expect it to be stable or useful, and I don't want to trust them with my credit card. Large corporations don't have to give a shit because there's no financial reason for them to do so. I'm sorry, but I've literally given up. If anybody has any hope for this, it's that they get enough competition, they either give a damn or just go out of business and let us alone and let us make our own pages. How about Farmers for Truth start up his own freaking YouTube invitation? I mean, at this point, we should just do this as a Tor service, as a Tor activity, a dark web thing where we all share, something like that. There's actually several systems that are doing that now. It gets rid of the bandwidth problem. You can upload billions of videos. It takes a while to load the video, but it does work, and it's almost impossible to kill. As long as the website acts as a central hub for things, it can actually work because you and I contribute to some of these systems. But honestly, I don't have a solution, except to replace YouTube's entire management and tell them stop doing this when you get the new people in. Next, I accidentally formatted my SD card, that's secure digital card, emphasis added, and wiped it clean. That part is probably not really what happened, and I hope it isn't because you're screwed. Is there a way to reverse this and recover the files? Raw, read, micro SD, or raw read SD card. Solid state, whether they're secure or not, digital cards. Solid state hard drives, flash drives, thumb drives. All of them have one thing in common. They're not really good at tolerating being rewritten a lot. So depending on your operating system and depending on the firmware and the controller chip, it writes, let's say here's the first part of the hard drive, the thumb drive, it's 100 megs, just arbitrarily. And you keep rewriting it and erasing it, rewriting it. It doesn't really write it there. It writes it doink, 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 continually across until it gets to the end, if it's doing it right, and then starts back at the beginning. So after 50 or 60 rewrites, it has never rewritten this part up here at all, which means it's not erased. Now the other part of this is that it lies in some cases because of errors, defect criteria management, or just having to fix screw-ups. It will reassign parts of the drive to be other parts, which means you can't recover data from it. Now this is bad and good at the same time. If you can do a raw read, you might get all of your data back. You might get overwritten data, but it's a little bit less likely. And some of it may be impossible to retrieve because it's been declared a bad sector, locked out, and then a piece way down here off screen has been reassigned, doink, because it was a spare area that you normally can't see. And that chip will still have that data even if you did erase it, because it doesn't know that it can erase it. You can reset it, Now, if it's been set to secure record and read and playback, that means it's using some internal key or an external key to read it. And all it has to do, it'll be both of them, all it has to do to securely erase it quickly is to erase its internal key so it can never retrieve it again because it's garbage, it's scrambled. Either way, you do a raw read program. Depending on your operating system, it's going to interfere with this and try to fix it and help, because it's going to want to do repair and clean up too. It's going to want to help organize it. You have to use a technician-grade operating system that's been told, stop dinking with things. Mine's set up that way and I can't even trust it. I know how to turn off that shit and it can still get turned back on. Okay? You have to plug it into an operating system that will not try to help. And you have to raw read it, and then you have to use a piece of software that can read a raw file, a raw image file through a drive, and try to reconstruct it. That means it has to take disparate parts like broken and segmented files. Fragmented files are formed too, because it may rewrite and erase in different orders, so it might fragment the file to keep it from writing too many times, trying to make the drive last longer. So you may end up with a fragmented, no connection with the pieces, all file linkages erased version of it. That and the fact that it'll have this other spare area that may have swapped it out. So get a raw read program and that's it. And again, if you really did overwrite it, zero it, or secure erase it because there was a code key, all you're going to get is garbage. But try. Alright? And don't pay for a program to do the data recovery. I'll try to find them and list them below. Next, I promoted a YouTube channel on my channel that had useful information about Sandy Hook, because he seemed to be neutral, and he might have opinions I don't agree with, but he seemed at the time to be sane, or at least useful. And I still believe that. If you're watching, I still believe that. Hi, WABTech. Yes, I'm the one who promoted that information on YouTube. I'm the one who got an interview, the interview statement, with the Crying Hamster webpage, blog or whatever, that got the information. Thank you, I appreciate it. And then he asserts Jim Fetzer is an intelligence agent belonging to an organization of ex-intelligent agents. See my new video on him losing his ass in court. And Adam Lanza has nothing to do with Ryan Lanza's graduation video. Okay, I didn't know about that. Somebody was talking about that and I made a comment on it. So I don't know. Okay, next. After being respectful to you, WebTech, you have now attacked me without knowing the facts. Now at this point, I'm going to read what this person's asserting. I'm going to assume good faith on his part, and I always do if I can. Jim Fetzer's an intelligence agent, again. Organized, comprised of yada yada. Are you claiming it's not true? What organization are you talking about? I'm not being facetious here. I didn't go through all of your videos. I'm only interested in the videos that have data. I don't care about people's assertions. I just want the raw data. If you make an assertion, you can type it. What organization is this? Why is this the basis? I would never accuse Jim Fetzer of being an intelligent anything. I'm not just joking. I don't think he's smart enough to be part of any group. That's all. Next, by the way, he just got his ass handed in court, etc. Also, are you actually claiming there was not? And this is where things seem to go off the rails in verbiage. And I'm going to interrupt myself and him really quickly here. If you use certain if you use a certain vocabulary, it is assumed you are part of a specific group. If you talk like a trucker, people assume you're a trucker, or your mom. So, when people use certain keywords when they speak or communicate on a regular basis, not just in the YouTube titles, to get someone from that group to listen to them for 2 seconds like I do, then it is safe to assume you don't care if someone assumes anything about you, which is cool. But I'm going to be listening to this, and I'm going to point out some things. Is WAPTEC saying there's not an elite Sandy Hook hoax group? When you use the word elite, it immediately sets off gigantic bells in my head. That word is used and misused a lot. It is used to set the stage for lying to people every single time. There are elitists in this world. There are groups who are part of an elite organization. Yes, but that word on the internet, and specifically on YouTube, is never used for what it really means for normally. But okay, we'll continue with this. Then you're throwing the person Jackie Truetown, a employee at the courthouse or something, or a judicial employee as you call her, into this elite Sandy Hook's hoax group. Now the only thing I found when I looked up Jackie Truetown that I can remember right now without looking at my notes is that she discusses Sandy Hook. Lots of people do. I don't know what her opinion is, and I don't know where you're coming from here, but let's continue. You are wrong if you don't believe there is an elite Sandy Hook hoax group. Now, is this an elite Sandy Hook hoax group consisting of Fetzer and Halbig and whoever else is pushing this bullshit? Or are you talking about an elite group pushing the opposing narrative of what actually happened that day, which is that Nancy Lanza actually did the shooting? Which group are you calling elite to destroy their assertion by yelling the word elite instead of covering the subject? I don't know. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to my head when you use this kind of, like, I mean, this is very superficial. But okay, let's continue. You can watch my detailed documentary by searching Sandy Hook Covenant. That's another trigger word. Why are you using that? Jackie Truetown, CT, Connecticut State Judicial Employee. Okay, now it's not a local person. Okay, so it's the state. Okay. Parole officer, hoax lies promoter. So she's a judicial employee as a parole officer? A state-run parole officer. Okay. I don't know. I just that wasn't the subject matter I was looking up at the time. Other than that, you do not know the facts of the case, and you're out of your element. Okay, now I'm going to cover this really quickly. I'm just looking at what you've typed here. You're not being complete. You're not communicating well. A Connecticut State parole officer and judicial employee named Jackie Truetown is part of a Sandy Hook elite covenant. Do you know how that sounds and why you don't do that? I mean, I'll do that in the video title, because that'll attract people who will sit here and either yell at me and give me the information I'm missing. It's faster that way. I'll find out what they believe, or someone will tell me, oh yeah, that's a meme by such and such. That sounds like someone pushing buttons to get a certain type of person to watch. Same thing I do. But I do it because the people I'm trying to get to watch the video believe things that are simply not true. That's what those words would be useful for. Now I'm going to cover your next assertion. Nancy Lanza, 54 pages, personal gun records confiscated from her home by Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and whatever. Grand jury material, never put into Sandy Hook evidence. Nancy Lanza was killed by her son, and ostensibly at least one of the guns that was used was one that she owned or was purchased legally by her, and or the paperwork you might be talking about may be her personal records, but it may be Adam Lanza's records too. She was dead. They walked in and picked up all the evidence concerning guns because guns were used. This is not a mystery. And it was never put into Sandy Hook evidence because maybe it wasn't evidence concerning the subject. Maybe it was a bunch of, oh, these guns aren't related to the shooting. Or only one or two are. Now I can look into this, but I'm supposed to explain it? Okay, explain why they would confiscate gun records from the house of a person who was murdered, whose son did a bunch of other murders, who may have actually lived there. Let's assume that he lived there. I'm saying that's an assumption, I know that, but let's assume that. Or maybe they were checking to see if it was a robbery and she got killed. I mean, they have to check for these things. But why does this sound suspicious? Is that what you're saying? Next, Adam Lanza was kicked out of school, later began trolling gun forums, asking them to help him with things he did not require, is your assertion, and asking them to break the law. I wonder why. I don't know, maybe he was a dumb, reckless kid trying to find out information about something, and you're not telling me what it is. What forums? Are there archives of this? Is it still visible? Are these assertions by people who said I saw it, or people who screenshotted it, which is a little bit better, or people who archived it, or weren't able to because the forums erased crap because everybody deletes shit? I mean, maybe there's a vacuum of evidence you're working with. I don't know. Go ask these other people who I am. No, I don't need that. What I need to know is, why would you assume confiscating gun records at a victim's home where guns were used by one of the residents in a mass murder would be suspicious? And why would that need to be in the Sandy Hook evidence? And maybe it is. I get people telling me Sandy Hook evidence and the final report are 50 different damn things. So anyway, I wasn't trying to diss you or treat you like shit, and I wasn't being mean to you on purpose, but no, I don't believe in some covenant or elitism thing. That's always fake. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And every time you use this kind of wording, you're going to get that reaction. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll go ahead and look. But thanks for commenting.